Monday, January 16th, 2012. Councilwoman Fulbright, would you do the honor of the invitation?
Yes. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the wonderful blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We thank you for this beautiful day that you have given us to enjoy. Please watch over us, guide us, direct us, give us wisdom to make good, sensible decisions that pertain to the Cherokee people. We ask you to watch over our elderly, those who are sick, and all of our troops overseas. And all these things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Bill Anglin?
Here.
Jack Baker?
Here.
Julia Coates?
Here.
Jody Fisher? Here. Meredith Fraley? Here. Janelle Fulbright?
Here.
Don Garvin?
Honey.
Frankie Hargis?
Here.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.?
Here.
China Glory Jordan?
Present.
Lee Keener?
Honey.
Dick Clay?
Here.
Curtis Dell?
Here.
David Thornton?
Present.
David Washington?
Here.
Sheriff Helen Watts?
Honey.
We do have a quorum. We have a quorum. The next order of business is approval of the December 12 regular session meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes as written? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The minutes stand approved as written. Next order of business is State of the Nation address by Principal Chief Bill John Baker.
It is an honor and a privilege to be here this evening. I'm coming up on the first 100 days of being chief of the Cherokee Nation. You know, we started out with not a lot of transition, and we started out drinking out of a fire hose. But we've kind of got the nozzle turned down just a little bit, and so we're going to reflect a little bit on what has happened in the first 100 days. First 100 days, we were able to pass 5% of the casino profits to come to the Cherokee Nation for more and better health care for our people. We were able to pass legislation to fund LIHEAP, our home heating bills for our elders and those most in need, even when we didn't know if the federal government was going to appropriate even $1 for that. But we were able to pass it, and I'm proud to tell you that the federal government did come through. We have received those dollars back, but I'm proud that we passed that so that we had it available. We were able to spend it. We were able to get the utilities to our people. You know, we were able to get $39 million released from HUD. For housing dollars, which was really, really good and timely. The hangar and the airplane are for sale, and they are being looked at. Last week we saved over $2.1 million in construction funds for Sequoia High School that we had run past the deadline to appropriate and spend those dollars. Fell through the cracks, but we were able to get another extension, and so those dollars are safe, and we'll get those out. I want to thank the council for their efforts in passing the LIHEAP and passing the 5% and their diligent hard work and efforts to help our people and to make our nation better. It's with a little bit of regret, or a lot of regret, that I have to announce that Diane Hammond, who has served this nation well for 12 years, has turned in her resignation. She has been extremely helpful to my administration in the last 90 days, and for that I truly want to thank her. She's a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, a lot of good legal knowledge is going down the road to look at starting over again and starting a new career. And I wish her all the best in her endeavors. Kind of making it hard on the council, but I have announced that Todd Hembry is going to be my new Attorney General. And I'm going to take the 12 years of knowledge that he had, that he built up with the council. But I've looked long and hard across the Cherokee Nation and cannot find anybody that has more institutional knowledge, has probably read the Constitution more than anybody, has worked with this body for 12 years, and he will make us a great Attorney General for the Cherokee Nation, and I'm proud that he's going to take that office. You don't know how happy I am to sit here today and tell you that the 2011 election cycle is finally over. Saturday night, the votes were cast, the ballots were counted, and for my replacement on Seat 1, District 1, Cherokee Nation Tribal Council is Joe Berg. I look forward to working with a full 17-member tribal council duly elected by the people of the Cherokee Nation. The second 100 days we've started working on. We have developed housing plans for our new housing program. Within the next 30, 45 days, according to environmentals and those kinds of issues, we should have some model homes that the council can drive by, walk through, and our people will have an opportunity to see a house that they can have built on their land. We are working on an elder stipend that we hope to roll out in the next few months to help those that are in most need. For the most part, it will be the folks that are eligible for LIHEAP. It'll be on that line that we can help them every 6 months with a small stipend. So if the federal government doesn't do LIHEAP or doesn't do this, we can help with their medicine and their utilities and the things that they need the most. Job creation. We have spent a great deal of time trying to bring jobs to our Cherokee people here in the Cherokee Nation. We have put together a packet that tells people, jobs, companies, folks that control the jobs, why they ought to be doing business in the Cherokee Nation. We have superior workforce. We have new jobs tax credits. We've got hiring Indians in Indian country that is up to $8,000 a year just for locating here and hiring Indians in Indian country. We are packaging all those things together. We have sent, I've been down and we've sent teams down to Texas to try and bring these jobs back. And you can read in the newspaper where President Obama has says, hey, we want to get in-source instead of outsource. So some of these jobs that were outsourced 12 years ago, we're perched to bring those back into the Cherokee Nation. And they're $15 an hour jobs to start. And if we seal the deal, we'll bring 200 jobs into the old Safeway building, and all we'll be out is remodeling the building, and we'll collect top rent to the Cherokee Nation for that building. We'll have the opportunity to train those Cherokees that they hire. We'll be able to hire those Cherokees, and we'll be able to collect the rent and and, bring those $15 an hour jobs to Tahlequah, Oklahoma. And I look forward to sealing that deal. We had the judicial conference, and the courts appeared to be satisfied to have the Supreme Court of the Cherokee Nation in an old Safeway building. And folks, I think it's wrong. I think we need a much better place, a more dignified place for our courts. After the Trail of Tears, the very first building that Cherokee's built was the Supreme Court building, because it's important to the Cherokee people. And several years ago, the council and the Supreme Court worked together diligently, creating a plan for a new Supreme Court building and a new council house. We worked on leads. We worked on how we could grow. Right now, the council is in a very small building, not a lot bigger than this room. There's truly not enough room for the public to come in and watch them do business. There's 4 and 5 desks stacked up in each little office, and it leaks and arguably has mold. And I think the Cherokee people deserve better. So I'm going to work diligently to try and come up with a plan that we can all agree on to provide something acceptable, something quality, something that says we're the Cherokee Nation, we believe in our people, we believe in our government, we believe in the legal system. So we look forward to that. We are working on a social media policy, not to do away with it, but to actually give our programs, departments, businesses the opportunity to come up with a program of getting the best light of the Cherokee Nation out to the way that our people get a lot of their information, so that we can put our best foot forward using every means available. And obviously, Facebook is cheap. The next would be our Chief of Staff, Chuck Hoskin Sr. I would like for everybody to keep him in your prayers. He had back surgery less than a week ago, and he's doing extremely well. They've told him not to drive for 2 weeks or ride in a car, so he is taking calls and working at home from his computer. He is on the job, but he is not with us, and I hope that everybody would pray for his speedy recovery. We have some citizens that were amongst us a month ago that are not now, and I'm going to read that list. And then if anybody else has any from their communities or that I've missed, we'd like to hear their name before a moment of silence. We have Robert Dale Cook of Skytook. Marvin Culver Nowata, husband of Cherokee Nation employee Lindell Culver. Mays Cleo England of Catoosa. Jean Ellen Rogers, mother of Cherokee Nation employee Teresa Burson. Curtis Sloan from Adair County. Dorothy Spears, Cherokee County. Jess Van Wright, originally from Westville. Does the council have others that they'd like to raise up? Chuck?
Wayne Half of Veneta, Terry Whitfield of Veneta, and Donald Smith of Nowata County.
Peter Breeze of Culver.
Tommy Mitchell, Chelsea.
You'll please, go ahead.
Trenton Beaver is still on.
You'll all bow with me for just a second. Thank you all so much. Now I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Chief Joe Crittenden, and he's got 3 fine young veterans to introduce you to. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless the Cherokee Nation.
Thank you, Chief. As Bill said, we've got 3 veterans to honor tonight for their service to the country, and I'm going to start off with a Robert Estep. Robert, you here? Come down. I'm going to read a little about your service, sir. Robert was born in Moline, Illinois on December the 18th, 1948. He moved to Muskogee, Oklahoma in February of 49. Robert attended Hobart High School and graduated in 1967. He is the 3rd generation to serve in the military. His grandfather, Robert, served in World War I in the United States Marine Corps. His grandfather, Dean Cyrus Clark, also served in the U.S. Army in World War I. He was 3/4 Cherokee. His father, John, served in the U.S. Army in World War II, and his father-in-law, Christopher Waltz, served in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam as a corpsman in the U.S. Navy. Robert was drafted into the Army in January of 1969. He was stationed at Fort Polk, Louisiana, for basic training and advanced infantry training. He was a point man in Vietnam with Charlie Company, 2nd Battalion, 8th Cavalry, 1st Air Cavalry Division from June 69 to 1970. On March the 5th, his unit found one of the largest rice cache ever found in Vietnam, 253,000 pounds. Robert was wounded by a mortar round March the 8th, 1970, while in Vietnam. Robert was awarded the Bronze Star with V Device for Valor, Bronze Star for Meritorious Service, Army Commendation with V Device for Valor, Purple Heart, and a Combat Infantry Badge. After being honorably discharged from the military in October of '76, he went to work for the Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Prisons in February of '77 at U.S. Penitentiary on McNeil Island, Washington. He was transferred to USP Lompoc, California, in '79 USP Atlanta, Georgia, and in '82 he transferred to Miami, Florida in 1990. In January 1999, he retired as Correctional Supervisor, Lieutenant with 22 years with the federal prison systems. He moved from Key Largo, Florida to Fort Gibson, Oklahoma in December of 2000. He resides on Fort Gibson Lake with his wife of 40 years, a retired registered nurse, and son Robert II. And I want to thank you for your service, sir. Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Would you like to say something, folks? I'd like to thank Chief Baker and the Cherokee Nation with this great honor. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Next, we have a veteran named Johnny Shepard. Johnny, are you with us tonight? Come down, sir. going to read a little bit, okay? You can bear with me. The son of Noah and Elsie Shepherd, Johnny was born in Liberal, Kansas in 1948. He moved to Tahlequah in 1949 and graduated from Tahlequah High School in 1966. In October 1967, he was drafted into the United States Army. He did his basic training in Fort Polk, Louisiana, and was sent to Fort Sill, Oklahoma to do his advanced infantry training. He was assigned to the 2nd 36th Artillery in Datiang. Okay, I needed some help with that. Vietnam, where he was gunner on the 80-inch howitzer self-propelled big gun. Johnny's medals include the First Good Conduct Medal, Marksman Qualified Badge, QS Bar, 2 Republic of Vietnam, and Purple Heart. He served his tour in Vietnam during the Tet Offensive in 68 and 69. He then was sent back to Fort Sill, Oklahoma to finish his remainder of duty. Johnny lives in Tahlequah with his wonderful wife, Carol. They have 2 children, Sheila and Sean, and 5 grandchildren. I am very proud to say that I served our country and proud to be Cherokee. And we're proud of you too, sir. Would you like to say a few words to the audience?
Well, I'm just proud to say that I've served for my country and proud to be a native Cherokee Nation here. And if I had it all to do over again, I would do the same thing.
I don't know what happened to that thing. Next, we have a veteran, Taylor Whitmire. Taylor? Now. Thanks for your service, too, sir. Taylor was born on July the 9th, 1933 at the Claremore Indian Hospital and raised in Chewy, Oklahoma. Good country over there, ain't it? Taylor attended several rural grade schools before going to Seneca Indian School in 1946 and finished in 1950. He then went to Haskell in Lawrence, Kansas until 1952. Taylor enlisted in the U.S. Air Force in May of 1953 and had basic training in San Antonio, Texas. Taylor went through aircraft engine mechanic school at Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas. He was stationed at many bases in the United States as well as Reykjavik, is that close? Reykjavik, Iceland, Prestwick, Scotland, and Nha Trang, Vietnam. Taylor returned to the States to finish out his 20-year career at England Air Force Base in Louisiana and retired as a tech sergeant in January of 1974. After retiring, Taylor attended Northeastern State University until 1978 and then went to work for Cherokee Nation Industries, retiring in 1996 after 18 years. Taylor now lives in the Spade Mountain community near Stillwell. Thank you so much for your service, sir.
Finish, Chief Baker.
All done, all through. Thank you.
We have a presentation. Ms. Calm Watts and Mr. Anglin and Mr. Keener have a presentation for you.
And if possible, we'd like Deputy Chief Crittenden as a veteran. But it took 2.5 years, and the Claremore Veterans Center, we were able to, through the Cherokee Nation, provide computers for their computer lab, and another donor anonymously donated internet connectivity, and recently they presented this to us for the Cherokee Nation. So on behalf of the Cherokee Nation, we would ask that you, Chief Baker, and Deputy Chief Joe Crittenden accept this from the Claremore Veterans Center for their efforts as the Cherokee Nation towards helping our veterans bridge the digital divide. Thank you very much. Did you guys want a photo? Because I think they got you mid-turn.
I got you. All right.
Everybody be seen? Come on over, Joe. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you. And the team that did it, we appreciate the staff. Thank you.
Yes, and it is an honor to take this on behalf of the nation and our hardworking staff. And, you know, folks, we've got 8,000 employees, and they all do good every day. And so lots of times they get stuff done that you'd be proud of that we don't get to recognize them on. And so anyway, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Next order of business, the action of unfinished business, there being none pending, we move on to committee reports. First report is Mr. Sutherland of the Housing Authority. Good evening, David.
Good evening. Good to be here. I'll have a brief report tonight. The next Housing Authority Board regular meeting will be the February 21st. As usual, the meeting will begin at noon in the Allen Hogner Conference Room. The board did meet last Tuesday, the 10th, for its January regular meeting. At that meeting, the board approved contracting with an attorney to guide them as we reestablish employees at the Housing Authority. We will concentrate on getting the programs that fit at the Housing Authority, such as low-rent apartments and home ownership, because the property is owned by the Housing Authority. The new home construction will also be done through the Housing Authority. The board also approved, as the chief mentioned, the building of 2 model homes on the property at 5,000 South Muskogee, just up the street. We'll use the home as offices for the development department. We're a little bit pinched for office space right now, so we took the opportunity to put those 2 model homes on the ground and use them as office space. We're still working hard on getting details ironed out on building new homes. We're making good progress, and we'll be doing construction in the near future. We'll quite likely have the Housing Authority have a special meeting, the board have a special meeting in a couple of weeks to address updating the procurement policy. We haven't needed one for a few years, so we need to bring it up to snuff. And also, we're going to talk about the appropriating funds for the development of the homes, the construction funds. Those 2 items are critical in getting construction started. If you know a Cherokee who's doing construction and they're interested in the bidding that's going to be upcoming, be sure and tell them to get Terrell certified. We want to use as many Cherokees as we can in the construction, and in order to do that, they really need to be Terrell certified. That's my report for the evening. If anyone has any questions, I'll sure be trying to answer.
Questions for Mr. Sutherland? Comments?
Thank you.
Another David is Cherokee Nation Business, David Stewart. Good evening, Mr. Stewart.
Good evening. We'll be reporting for October. Our financial results were slightly below budget at $6.5 million. Our construction projects are on schedule and on budget. I think next week we'll pour the 3rd floor of the Hard Rock Tower, so we're anxious to get that open. Over the period of December, even with 500 games down as a result of the blizzard, we still had almost a record month, so I'm very encouraged about how everything's working together, and look forward to get that open. Several events I'd like to tell you about. Mobility Plus opened up a new office in store in Claremore, think, well attended by our Rogers County council members and other dignitaries. C&I will be awarded the Premier Supplier Award by Bell Helicopter. That means they're in the top 10% for reporting on time and high quality product. So they will be awarded that on the 19th. And then finally, I always like to highlight some of the things that we do at C&B that's not just business, it's about our Cherokees. And a couple of years ago, we partnered with the foundation to work with Junior Achievement to provide our Cherokees at Sequoia some business knowledge. And the purpose of this program is to give them some financial literacy and to help them for college. So our champion of this program with the foundation is Jay Calhoun. Jay, where are you? Come on up. So I'd like for Jay to briefly describe the program, the people that we work with, and we have some students here that have gone through the program. I've actually been at Sequoia to talk to them a couple of times, and I know, Jay, you have too. It's an exciting program. So, Jay, we can take it.
Thanks, David. For that, I'd like to get representatives from the foundation and Sequoia as well, our students. Just a little bit of history about the program. Some of you may be familiar with it, some of you may not. In the fall of 2011, CMB partnered with the Cherokee Nation Foundation to create a Cherokee talent pipeline as part of our citizen development initiative. One of those items specifically oriented towards creating the motivation and financial literacy to prepare these kids for higher education was Junior Achievement. Sequoia's Junior Achievement program was started as a partnership in 2009 between CMB and Mr. Livingston over at Sequoia. Since that initial class, student participants have leveraged their experiences to go on to attend highly competitive business leadership programs at institutions such as Stanford and Dartmouth College. In 2010, as some of you may remember, the program was recognized by the Native American Finance Officers Association as the Financial Literacy Program of the Year. And that's a nationwide honor for Sequoia High School, for CMB, and for the nation. The foundation is now rolling out Junior Achievement curriculum to our Cherokee students across the 14 counties, and we hope these students will one day be the next generations of business leaders there at CMB. So without further ado, I'd like to make some introductions. The first is Kimberly Gilliland, as you know, as the Executive Director of the Cherokee Nation Foundation. It's Heather over here. Sour John, that works with our education initiatives. Mr. Gerald Livingston is a Sequoia High School teacher and the sponsor of a program there at Sequoia. Stacy Glass, I believe, can't be here this evening, and also Dana Cochran, who is the volunteer advisor for the current class of students there at Sequoia. And, of course, Lonnie Drapo, am I saying that correct? Drapo, is the executive vice president for the company there at Sequoia, and he's going to briefly share a little bit about what they did this term, some of their accomplishments, which you've set a record, as I understand, and some of the things that you've learned. So without further ado, Lonnie.
Well, my name is Lonnie Drapo. I'm a junior at Sequoia Schools, and I did participate in Mr. Livingston's class, the Junior Achievement at the Economics, and I really did not know what the class was about, to be honest, and then the idea of having a business, he started telling us about that, so I started getting more interested in his class, and no one knew what we was going to sell and how we was going to pick the officers and all that. And then they were arguing, my classmates were arguing about what to sell, candy, pop. And then I just came up with the idea to sell pizza. And then we had a couple of our classmates go around the school to see what kind of pizza the kids like and how much would they pay for the pizza. And then the most was pepperoni and cheese. And then they said they would buy it for like $3, but we didn't want to charge that much to the kids, so we decided to sell them for $1.50 a slice. And then if they wanted the box, was it 12?
$12.
Yeah, $12 a box.
Considering he's got it for $4.25.
Yes. And then we got the pizza from Little Caesars, and then one of our president of our president of production, Evan Terrell, had worked out a deal to get it for $4.25 instead of $5, and then that helped us out a lot because we didn't have much to start with. How much did we get?
Remember you sold stock?
Oh yeah, we also sell stock to the kids, the teachers, parents, and whoever wanted to buy stock. And we started off for like $50, and then we bought $20 worth of pizza, and then it sold out within at least 10 minutes when lunch started. And then, so that made us at least, yeah, the first time it was $100. Then when we started making money, we started buying the pizza worth $80 on days like.
Make sure of turkey burgers.
Yeah, turkey burgers. No one likes turkey burgers at the school. And we sold those on. We usually bought 80 on Friday because the kids would usually have money. And then Wednesday would always be a bad day at the lunchroom, so we bought $100 worth, and we would always sell out. And then yeah, we paid every one of our shareholders back what they paid. Didn't we donate some of the money to other organizations too?
You did, I think, donated about $25.
Yes, $25.
To New York City.
We helped them get to New York, and we ended up raising at least $1,000. And I guess from Mr. Livingston, the other organizations are wanting to sell pizza. They're starting to sell pizza now. Because I guess it just makes money.
Now, didn't the class money say about if, and I'm still going to do this, about my hair?
Yes.
Tell him.
All right. A deal we made with him was we were probably at least at $800, and he said no one's had made $1,000 before, but we already broke everyone's record by how much we made, and he said if we make $1,000, that he would dye his hair blonde, I believe, and
Spring break.
by spring break, and he said he would run across the football field yelling our company, our little pleasers.
Holding your sign.
Yes, holding our sign. And then to get like the publicity for our company, we went on our school little show called The Show. Like we had made a commercial, and we had made signs to put on the walls at school, and we just told people that we were going to sell pizza, and they were all willing to buy. I thought it was crazy that they bought $12 a box, but they wanted to buy it, so. And
All right, we got the next class coming in, so I think, are they
Yeah.
selling stock yet?
They sold stock. They got about $200, and they're buying their first.
So you need to get in on the stock when they come and have the sales, so they make a good little return for the investors. But let's give these kids a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. You know, that would have been a focus group, somebody stealing your product, but I think they need a lawyer. We'll have them. But these are the concepts that we need to be introducing to our Cherokees early on. It's part of what C&B has developed from junior achievement all the way through career development, the different steps of that. And so we're attacking each of those to make sure that we have a good pipeline of business leaders. So can't say enough about Jay and the foundation and all that they're doing. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about the business, anything other than pizza.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. I received a phone call, actually from the Cherokee Phoenix and I wasn't clear because I thought I'd been to all the board meetings, and I did not know about something that may have occurred. Did we purchase the American Woodmark building?
No, we have not purchased it.
Okay,
We have made an offer on it pending board approval.
okay.
There's a contingency in that contract, so we still have some process to go through at the board level.
Are we dealing with the potential conflict of interest?
Yes, we have a process for that internally, so that will all be disclosed to our ethics committee, and so we have already established that timeline.
Thank you.
Mr. Keener?
Thank you, Madam Chair. What's that going to be used for, Dave?
Well, we've done an analysis of the existing needs of the company and the Cherokee Nation, so there's going to be a piece of it for that. And then we're looking at also some of the other businesses that we have to see if there's warehousing needs. And it's also part of an initiative that we have to present to the board that would be to develop infrastructure within the 14 counties. So you really can't do business unless you have infrastructure. So this will be a decision that's presented to our board of directors as part of an overall plan for the 14 counties.
Any other questions for walking stick?
Like the recipe of that pizza?
Yeah. He'll sell it to you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In addition to just the purchase that I wasn't necessarily aware of because it hadn't been presented to the board, they also asked specifically if we were going to move jobs from Mays County back into Cherokee County.
I don't know anything about that.
Thank you. I'd hate to hear that happen.
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
Any other? We wouldn't. I would. Any other questions? Comments? Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Being no old business pending, we move on to new business. And came out of the Rules Committee. Item 1 is the resolution. We have 13 nominations here and renominations. First one is confirming the renomination of Ida Jean McCollum as a board member of the Comprehensive Care Agency. Ms. Flora Jordan, do you want to do that one?
Yes, this is a resolution confirming the renomination of Ima Jean McCollum as a board member of the Cherokee Nation Comprehensive Care Agency. She has served on this committee for some period of time, and this is simply a renomination for another 3 years. I put that in form of a motion.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor of this confirming this renomination signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Item 2 confirms the renomination of Mr. Yates as a commissioner of the Housing Authority. Ms. Fulbright, would you do that?
Yes, a resolution confirming the renomination of J. Anthony Yates as the commissioner with the Housing Authority on the Cherokee Nation. And he was appointed a short time ago to fill out a term, and this will be a full term. And I recommend he be accepted.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 3 confirms the renomination of John Cripps as a district judge. Mr. Thornton, do you want to do that one?
This resolution confirming the renomination of John D. Cripps as a district judge at Cherokee Nation District Court. Since I've known Mr. Cripps for quite a while and never been put in front of him, I'd like to suggest that we renominate this.
Second. Moved in second. Any discussion? Yes.
Judge Cripps is here this evening, I believe. Yeah, hi. We did not have the opportunity to question you, I don't think, at committee meetings. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. My name is Julia Coates. I was the sole vote not in favor of your nomination at that time primarily because I had some questions and some concerns, and if it's all right, I would like to take the opportunity to ask this evening. It's up to you, whatever.
Forward, please. Cripps, thanks for being here this evening.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I do appreciate you being here as well and the willingness to answer the questions. My concern is one only, and that is that a decision on that there was a case in front of you in district court concerning the citizenship of freedmen descendants that sat in front of you for about 2 years, I think, something like that, before a decision was finally rendered. And when the decision did come through, the written decision did not, in substance, address the Cherokee Nation's arguments in the case, simply said that the freedmen had a treaty right. Now, I want to be very clear that I'm not necessarily objecting to the decision, and this is not why I'm asking the question. But my concern is that after 2 years, I would have probably expected a decision that had some research, some history, some reasoning behind it as to why the Cherokee Nation's arguments were rejected in that case. And not having the ability to ask that question, and then also that the decision came in January of 2011 after sitting in front of you for approximately 2 years, right as we were kicking off an election season, and anybody could anticipate, I think, that this was going to be something that would impact the elections that were coming up. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity to respond as to what was the process and what was the length of time, and is this something that is typical in rendering a decision like this in such an important matter?
It was an important matter, and I took my time to go over all the arguments. When I reviewed them, I determined that was the basis for the ruling. The treaty is the one which it said that they were to be citizens, and that was preeminent. All the rest of it was just going around the corners. And once you get past that point, there's no further. It took a long time because it was an important issue. Obviously, it continues to be an issue. I have done my job. It was not a popular decision. I didn't do it to win friends and influence everybody else. I would have much rather made the other decision. It had been more popular. But I'm not paid to make popular decisions. I'm paid to make decisions based upon my own conscience and upon my own judgment. And that's what I did.
I appreciate that. I completely agree that the judges on all of our courts at all levels should have the independence to, or hopefully will demonstrate the independence in their decision-making process. And as I said, whether the decision is popular or not popular is not really my question. My question was that I simply would have liked, I think, in terms of the decision, a little bit more explanation, perhaps. I mean, I'm sure you did go through the analysis, as you said, but I read these things, and I know a lot of people do, and I would have appreciated more analysis as to why the Cherokee Nation's arguments were not seen as valid. Particularly in light of the fact that the Supreme Court did overturn that decision a few months later.
That's true.
Okay. I appreciate you being in front of us tonight and responding to my question. Thank you very much, Judge.
Any other questions?
Thank you for your service. I know you've been serving the Cherokee Nation, and I think you have a considerable workload along with our other district court judge concerning like Indian child welfare, for example. And I know that everybody on the body, I'm sure, appreciates that. So thank you for taking that on every day. And I see Counselor Coates shaking her head. We all appreciate that.
Well, I consider the cases involving Indian child welfare to be of the utmost importance because they're our kids. Also, if you can give me a couple minutes here to get back on the stand, we have more guardianships now. Both Judge Fight and I do. It seems like in each docket we have another 3 guardianships or 4 guardianships. Most of them are pro se. And if I could kind of push the council a little bit to get us a code as to the guardianships, we're doing the best we can, but we want to make sure that we're doing it even-handedly. And it's because these are important. These are our kids, and I take it very personally. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Judge Cripps, our almost gone attorney, he's already started that.
I've heard that.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 4 confirms the nomination of Clarice Doyle as an editorial board member. Mr. Keener?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, I'd like to nominate Clarice Doyle for editorial board member of the Cherokee Phoenix. She actually has newspaper experience. In light of that, I endorse her. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yeah. You have made a motion?
Yes, make
Second
so-
and
so moved.
second. Would you like to come forward, Ms. Doyle? Would you like to come forward and say a few words? For being here this evening.
Well, I just want to say I'm very proud and honored to be nominated for this position on the Cherokee Phoenix. It's very important, the role of free media in our government, and I want to tell you that I'll do the best job I can to honor and promote that mission. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions, comments from Ms. Doyle? Yes.
I've actually got to witness Ms. Doyle's journalism in action for several years, and she's hard on everyone, which means she'll do the right thing and do the right job. But please take our gratitude and thanks back to Dr. Rice, because I believe at times it may take considerable time away from your work, and I think he's already agreed to support that in his partnership with the Cherokee Nation. We appreciate having you on board.
We look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor of this nomination signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5 confirms the nomination of Harold Ray Hart as a board member of Cherokee Nation Businesses. Mr. Hoskin, do you want to do that one?
As Speaker, this is a resolution confirming the nomination of Mr. Hart as board member of Cherokee Nation Businesses. Mr. Hart brings to this position a great deal of experience, and I'm just pleased that he's willing to serve. With that, I move for his approval.
Moved in second. Mr. Hart, are you here? There he is. You want to come forward? Thank you for being here this evening.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me here.
Do you have any questions or comments for Mr. Hart? Would you like to say a few words?
I'd just like to thank Chief Baker for the nomination of the board, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for allowing me to serve. And I hope I can do the best possible thing for the Cherokee Nation.
Thank you for being here. All in favor of this nomination signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Abstain.
One
Abstention.
One abstention. Okay, that was Julia. Item 6 confirms the nomination of Gary Cooper as a board member of Cherokee Nation Businesses. Mr. Lay, you want to bring that forward?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Resolution confirming the nomination of Gary Cooper as a board member of Cherokee Nation Business. I'll make that form of a motion.
Second.
Moved in second. Discussion or comments, questions for Mr. Cooper? Would you like to say a few words?
Just thank you, councilors and Chief Baker, for giving me your confidence to do this job. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. All in favor of this nomination signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Item 7 confirms the nomination of Jerry Holderby as a board member of Cherokee Nation Businesses. Mr. Snell, we haven't picked on you yet. Bring that forward.
This is a resolution confirming the nomination of Jerry Holderby as a board member of the Cherokee Nation Business. And I would like to say I've known Jerry for years, and he's a really good, excellent man. I move with approval.
Second discussion. Mr. Holderby, you want to come forward? Anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Holderby? Yes, Mr. Keener.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Oldby. I was going to ask you about your CEO experience at C&E when it first opened up. Is that right?
Yes.
Was that under then Chief Joe Bird?
Started under Joe Bird and worked a couple of years for Chief Smith.
A couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what was your reason for leaving?
Just asked to resign.
Why would you be asked that?
You'd have to ask Chief Smith.
Okay.
Nothing
Thank you. That's all.
Any other questions? Jerry, do you want to say a few words? Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Coates.
You were asked to resign and you weren't given any reason?
Just that the company was going in a different direction, and they're just making some changes.
Okay. Thank you.
Jerry, do you want to say a few words?
I think Sam and Gary pretty well hit it on the head, and I can just echo what they said. I do appreciate this opportunity to once again serve the people of the Cherokee Nation. Appreciate Chief Baker giving me this opportunity and the council having the confidence to put me there. I'll try to do the best I can, and if there's anything that you think I need to do, well, please call me, come see me, or whatever. I'm here in Tahlequah.
Thanks for being here. All in favor of this nomination signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
No. Aye.
2.
There's 3.
3. Motion carries. Okay. Item 8 is nomination of Rick Doherty as a board member of Cherokee Nation Businesses. Ms. Hargis, do you want to bring that one forward?
Resolution confirming the nomination of Rick Doherty as a board member of Cherokee Nation Business. I make a motion that.
Second. Second. Mr. Doherty, I thought there he is. Do you want to come forward? Thank you for coming all the way from Adair County. Have any questions or comments? You want to say a few words?
Well, I'd like to thank Chief Baker for the nomination and the council for your confidence. And I'm honored and humbled and do my very best for the Cherokee Nation and the people.
Okay, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All in favor of this nomination signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 9 confirms the nomination of Deacon Turner as a board member of Cherokee Nation Business. Mr. Turner was unable to be here due to a previous engagement. So, Ms. Calwatch, you want to bring that forward?
I move for approval for Deacon Turner to be.
Any discussion? Yes, Mr. Garvin.
I'd like to be added as a sponsor.
Okay. Mr. Garvin is a sponsor. Mr. Keener?
Yes, same here.
And he wants to be added as a sponsor. Any other questions or comments? All in favor of this nomination signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 10 confirms the nomination of Lyle Burris as a board member of the Cherokee Nation Administrative Appeals Board. Mr. Garvin?
Thank you,
Bring that forward.
Lyle Burris is from Muskogee. I've known him for many years, and I need to read a little bit here. He's an active retired Oklahoma State District Judge. He's Oklahoma State District Judge, 15th Judicial District, Oklahoma State Associate District Judge, Muskogee County, Chief Prosecutor, Muskogee County District Attorney's Office, private practice, McIntosh and Muskogee County, First Assistant, Pittsburgh County District Attorney, classroom teacher, Midwest City, Dale City, and this is the most important one, teacher, coach, athletic director, Muskogee Public Schools. We used to work together and tell jokes and tell long stories, but he tells a story about this famous football player in Muskogee, and his dad made him push an old car around the block all during the summer to get in shape to go to OU, and I don't know if it's true or not, but he might enlighten us. But I guarantee this man, he comes with a warranty. I'll make a motion to be approved.
Second.
Moved and second. Mr. Burris, you want to come forward? You can confirm that, chasing the car around the block. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Burris? Yes, Ms. Kelly.
Thank you. Mr. Burris, I reviewed the record, and I just wanted to make sure from the committee meeting, so I apologize, it's a duplication of questions.
Okay.
I didn't know if you had an opportunity to review the Terrell law or
I have.
human resources policies, especially the constitutional provision that protects our employees after 1 year of employment. But I want to make sure again on record that you are comfortable in adhering to those policies in your decision-making for this appeals board.
I will. Yes, I am comfortable, very comfortable with that. And I appreciate the confidence that Chief Baker's put in me. And it reminds me the first time that I accepted an appointment was the assistant district attorney in Pittsburgh County. When I got there the afternoon, and the first thing we had off the bat, they had a bomb scare at the courthouse. And then the second thing I had to do is go out and investigate a hanging out on 69 Highway. And so I came from teaching and coaching, which is not quite as wild as that, a little bit more tame, although some of the children can be pretty wild. So I said, what am I getting myself into? And so each time I take a new job, I always wondered about that, because when I became district judge, first case off the bat was a murder case. So this is always an experience, and I think I can handle terror appeals and any of the tribal matters that come in front of me as far as employment is concerned.
Thank you very much for your time, and remember you're on record when, or on oath almost, aren't you, public record if you answer your car scenario.
Do what now?
Pushing the car around.
Yeah, they want to know
Oh, well,
if
now,
or not.
I only pushed it halfway around the block. Thank you again, Donna.
All in favor of Mr. Burris' nomination signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. Got that. Item 11 confirms the nomination of Angela Jones as a board member of the Appeals Board. Mr. Walkingstick?
This is a resolution confirming the nomination of Angela Jones as a board member of the Cherokee Nation Administrative Appeals Board. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is Ms. Jones here? Yes. Thanks for being here today. Do you have any questions? Yes, Ms. Callan Watts.
Again, I reviewed the record, just want to make sure, and there was also additional information that was brought to light after the committee meeting that I needed clarification on. So first of all, you have reviewed the terror laws, human resources policy, the constitutional provision, and you have no problem protecting the rights of our employees.
Yes, ma'am. I have read the laws, and I have no problem in following the laws as set forth by the Cherokee Nation.
Okay, thank you. And I think I'd asked you, if I recall correctly, according to my notes, was that I'd asked you about if, for some reason, the United Ketua Band issues came up, for example. I found out after committee meeting, is it correct that your mother is Diane Barker Harold?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay, and so I know she has publicly on record been very adamant for the United Ketua Band. So if for some reason in your role in protecting the Cherokee Nation, would that create a conflict of interest? I mean, do you automatically side with the UKB or?
No, ma'am. I'm very proud of who my mother is.
I'm just talking about the issue and want to make sure it's clear.
However, I am my own person, and I stand on my own opinions, and my job would be to put the Cherokee Nation's interests first.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, because we're all holding positions of trust, and I just want to make sure all minds are clear, so thank you.
Any questions or comments? Thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
I would. I appreciate the confidence that Chief Baker has instilled in me and by this nomination, and I can assure the council that I will fulfill my duties to the very best of my ability and will always put the Cherokee Nation and the Cherokee people first.
Thank you. All in favor of this nomination signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Item 12 confirms the nomination of John Garrett as the Commissioner of the Cherokee Nation Gaming Commission. Ms. Fishinghawk, since he's from Adair County, you want to bring that forward?
Yes, this is a resolution confirming the nomination of Judge John Garrett as Commissioner of the Cherokee Nation Gaming Commission. Excuse me, former judge. I move for its approval.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I don't have any questions because I think you answered my questions in committee. I reviewed it again, but I appreciate your willingness to serve the Cherokee Nation. I will not be able to support you, but I want to make sure that why is clear. So the way I understand the timeline, when I went back after committee to further research and verify what I understood, and maybe this is an opportunity for you to correct if I don't understand the timeline, that as a seated judge, somehow a case for the UKB casino to stay open was diverted to your court where you ruled to keep the UKB as an illegal casino open. Then after that, you were no longer a judge for the state of Oklahoma or district court, became a Supreme Court judge for the United Kituah Band, although you are not a UKB citizen. And now you feel like you could serve the Cherokee Nation interest over the UKB after that time frame of how decision-making occurred.
Everything you said is basically correct, except for one thing, when you say that it was out of my jurisdiction. When you're the district judge, and in our particular district, you serve in 5 counties. So there were 4 district judges. We all serve in all of the 5 counties. So it was not out of my district.
Thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments?
Excuse me.
Judge Garrett, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say thanks to the chief for your nominating me for this, and for the council for your support and the opportunity to serve you. And I will assure you that I can serve the Cherokee Nation, and you would be well represented. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All in favor of this nomination signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Roll call, please. Yes, as you confirm the nomination.
Dick Lake,
Yes.
Curtis Snell,
Yes.
David Thornton,
Yes.
David Walkingstick,
Yes.
Kara Cowan Watts,
No.
Bill England,
No.
Jack Baker,
No.
Julia Coates,
No.
Jody Fishinghawk,
Yes.
Meredith Fraley,
No.
Janelle Fulbright,
Yes.
John Garvin,
Yes.
Frankie Hargis,
Yes.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.,
Yes.
Hannah Corey Jordan,
Yes.
Lee Keener.
No.
Ten yes and 6 no.
10 yes, 6 no. The confirmation is approved. Okay, item 13 is a resolution confirming the nomination of Charles Head as Secretary of State. Mr. Hoskin, you want to bring that
Certainly,
forward?
Madam Speaker. Yeah, this is a resolution confirming the nomination of Charles Head as Secretary of State for the Cherokee Nation. And Madam Speaker, given the challenges that lay before us, I certainly feel comfortable that we have a person of this caliber with this background. He seems to be a very level-headed, very serious individual when it comes to matters of our sovereignty. Very knowledgeable, and with that, I move for its approval.
Second.
Second. Ms. Harkins, did you have your hand up?
Second.
Oh, okay. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Head, please, would you like to say a few words?
Madam Speaker.
Oh, okay, Ms. Coates, sorry. Ms. Coates, you have the floor.
I just wanted to reiterate, because I had 2 questions in committee, or I think one was mine and one was Councilor Cowan Watts, but the statement that was made in response to one of my questions, and just to reaffirm this, was that I believe when I asked the question about supporting the Constitution of the Cherokee Nation, and which Constitution you were willing to support or that you would stand to support, your response was the one that has been approved by this body and by the people of the Cherokee Nation, I believe. And so I just wanted to clarify that that is the 2003 Constitution. Is that not correct? Which was voted in 2003 by 2/3 of the population was approved.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Ms. Camelot?
Thank you. Because I had reviewed this video as well, just to make sure that I understood. And your role in this is just so critical. I just want to make sure my mind's clear and all minds that might be listening understand it. So you, Charles Head, personally and will professionally support the 2003 Constitution passed by the Cherokee people that was created in the 99 Constitutional Convention. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Mr. Hay, would you like to say a few words?
Well, like everyone else, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I thank Chief Baker for nominating me, and it's an honor and a privilege to, if approved, to be allowed to serve the Cherokee people and work for my tribe.
Thank you for being willing to do that. All in favor of this nomination signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 14 is an amendment to the Administrative Procedures Act. Ms. Gloria Gordon?
Yes, this was a legislative act amending Legislative Act 1307, Cherokee Nation Administrative Procedures Act, and adding a new section. And basically what we're adding is it deals with the Employee Appeals Board, which also handles TARO decisions. And we're adding a section that says any party to agency proceedings or any party to judicial review or civil enforcement proceedings shall have a matter decided by administrative judges en banc, which means that either party could apply and request that all three judges sit as one body in making a decision. And I would put that in the form of a motion.
I second it.
Second, said by acclamation.
I'd like to add this.
Madam Speaker, before you is an amendment to this act. At an abundance of caution that we wanted to add not only the Administrative Procedures Act, but also the Employee Administrative Procedures Act, just to make sure both acts were covered on the en banc the matter. So
and I do accept that. I forgot I meant to do that. Apologize, Todd.
Yes.
Glad you brought that up.
I'll offer the friendly, Madam Speaker.
Second? Yes. Joey, you second?
But I'd also like to be added as a sponsor.
Okay. Joey, you want to be added? Thank you, Mr. Former memory. Okay. For discussion, Ms. Calwatt.
Thank you. My notes from committee indicated that there would be a budget impact from this, and we were to see the estimated budget impact at full council before voting on it, and especially since it would include not only the employee appeals situations, but also, I guess, the TARO hearings at this point. Is that correct? It would there would be additional personnel cost incurred for the additional judges on both employee appeals hearings as well as TARO hearings. Is that correct?
there will be.
So there's no budget provided. I'm not opposed to this, except that I don't know that we can financially provide for it, and we constitutionally can't authorize anything that there's not money for.
Well, there's budgets. There's budgets in all these there's money in all these budgets. Now, at some point, will it be necessary for a budget modification? Yeah, I would think so, and that will come in the form of a budget modification.
I guess unless we have a printing press I don't know about, we're very close to not having any additional cushion, and we have to make our contingency reserve. So unless there's revenue magically falling out of the sky or being printed in a back room, I just don't have any confidence that we are going to long-term do this. And I thought we were going to have it because that was what was discussed in committee for full council, so we could support this.
Mr. Evans, you want to come forward?
Yes,
Question. You want to pose a specific question to Mr. Evans?
Mr. Evans, what is the additional budget that will be incurred due to this act, and can we afford it?
There is a budget that has been submitted by the program for a $56,000 increase. That budget is included in Mod 5. That was, I believe, included in your packets that you received today for the 26th meeting.
So is that a yes, we can afford it, and they're budgeting it, and it's a $56,000 increase we should anticipate?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Anything further? Any other questions, comments? Okay, this is an act, so you want us to try by acclamation?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, item 15 is an act amending the Compensation Act. Ms. Gloria Jordan, you want to take that one?
Is that number 15?
15, all right.
This is an act amending Title 19, Section 21, Title 51, also Title 51, Section 1, and Title 51, Section 11 of the Cherokee Nation Code annotated, amending another Legislative Act 4007 and amending Legislative Act 511 dealing with compensation of elected officials and declaring an emergency. It is, if you'll go to F in the Act, Section 4, it is providing a definition for the Compensation Committee of what compensation is. And I will put that in the motion.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Coates? Ms. Coates?
Yeah. I won't be voting for this. This is a backdoor pay raise. We had $600 previously in travel funds, which most members of this body, I dare say, did not utilize in that way, and so it was predominantly declared as income. When our compensation committee was formed, when they made the recommendations for for compensation over the next 4 years for the tribal council, this was eliminated, and we have operated without it since that time. Now it's coming back into the budget. There are a number of aspects of it which are not clear. At least one counselor, that is Counselor Baker, who lives out of district, is not even addressed in this as to how this is to work or not work for him, should it work. But the bottom line on this is that this is an additional $700 potentially into the pockets of every member of this council should they not utilize that amount every month for travel. And I would venture a guess that many of us, especially those that live very close to Tahlequah, would never use that amount. So I won't be supporting this.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also agree that this, because if this is passed tonight, this allows for the policy at the tribal council office to be amended and changed in committee without being brought to full council. So that's where that change would be made. So I support adequate compensation for talented individuals to afford to be on council to serve the people so that we know that we attract good talent. But doing it in a fashion that doesn't allow for transparency on the compensation creates problems for me. So we had, I think it was $500 was the in-district travel stipend prior to the confirmation of the Citizens Committee prior to this last election, which increased the base rate for pay for tribal councils so we could attract more qualified candidates. And it eliminated the stipend for in-district travel, which was $500 or $600. So we haven't had that. So the Cherokee Phoenix did the recent article. Really, it's not a $200 per month increase. It's a $700 per month increase, which, if this is allowed to be modified, would allow to be seen in committee and internal policy. Further, on transparency, and I have been candid about this in committee too, it does not allow for the citizen to look at our mileage sheets to make sure that we're doing our job within our district or even outside the district to attend meetings. And that creates problems on transparency to make sure that the citizens have a concrete way or manner to determine that we're actually doing our day-to-day job, not just attending meetings in Tahlequah, but actually out in our communities and working, which you would be able to go back and look in Freedom of Information Act or FOIA request, those travel records. So if we don't have that transparency, I think that we lose an aspect of our government, and that's really sad, on top of people that campaigned against pay raises suddenly backdooring an additional pay raise. That's problematic all in its own manner. So I cannot support this either, and I appreciate your time this evening. I hope that explains it better.
Mr. Lake?
Thank you. I have at least once, maybe twice, gone past $700 on my mileage. And I think the mileage was taken out previously. You know, when I look back over the records, I'm looking at the $500. I wonder if it was accidentally taken out or did you take it out on purpose? I don't know. But this legislation is not going to make that much difference to me because I go over $700 on mileage. And I want this body to know that, and I want my constituents to know that. That's all I got.
Mr. Hoskin?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Council member compensation and mileage reimbursement is not the biggest issue facing us, but we may as well get it right. And that's what we're trying to do here this evening, is to get it right. The issue isn't a backdoor pay raise. It's difficult to understand how something could be backdoor or lack transparency when everything was done in a public meeting that was well attended, that was streamed on video, of which there's minutes that are publicly available. So I do take issue with the comment that this is a backdoor pay raise that lacks transparency. Again, the issue is getting the issue of compensation right. The reason we're here is that the Attorney General's office issued an opinion which said that the Tribal Council couldn't adjust their mileage reimbursement because of a different law. There's two different laws at issue. One had to do with the Compensation Commission. The other has to do with the laws that has allowed us for decades to adjust our travel from time to time to reimburse council members. The Attorney General saw a conflict in those laws and reached a conclusion. And that conclusion, if you take it a little bit further, means that the council lacks power to do anything in terms of reimbursing ourselves for mileage. So that, I think, was an absurd result to reach. And we don't want to reach that result, so we need to tweak the law. And so this legislation does that. It says that we retain this ability, which we've had for decades, to adjust our travel reimbursement from time to time. That's what this does. That's what the issue is. And it's been out in the public. Again, meetings that are well attended, on the record. Nothing's been behind closed doors on this issue, and I don't appreciate the not just implication, but the explicit comment that it has been. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Any other questions, comments? Oh, Ms. Coates, sorry.
The AG did indeed offer an opinion that this was additional compensation to tribal council members, and to be passing legislation that basically circumvents that doesn't change anything. I mean, she basically said that that's not being done in an honest way. Well, now we're doing it, I guess, in a more open way, but it doesn't change the fact that most people here don't travel 700 miles in a month, not even close. And for those who do, you're going to get reimbursed. I mean, we've got procedures for that. All that this does is make sure that those people who don't travel that amount don't get the money as though they did to put in their pockets. And that's, I mean, I'm being blunt, but that's what the potential is here for to happen. And as I said, the closer you live to Tahlequah, the more likely you will be able to take that opportunity should you care to. So I stand behind my earlier statements. Thank you.
Mr. Thornton?
Yes. I think there's been some misstatements here tonight. If you talk about this 700 a month, it doesn't cover in-district traffic. It covers inside the nation traffic. And that's where it's at. I'm like Mr. Lay here. I'm right on the borderline. But Mr. Lay needs to figure out that if he takes this 700 a month, he'll lose money. Because he has to pay taxes on that money now if he takes it. The way it's done right now, you write this down and file for it every month. It's a public record, anybody can see it. I'm kind of torn here because I don't know really which way to go. But the thing about this is, I realize it's going to help people not only with mileage, but it's going to help them perform maintenance on their vehicles. I don't know how many times I've been out, maybe bust a tire, and anybody ever price tires nowadays, they'll know what I'm talking about. It's going to cost you $200 or $250 to take care of that. If something else happens to your vehicle, this is maintenance also, not only mileage. See, you have to think about that also. If I vote for it, I'm going to be paying taxes on that $700. It's going to up my taxes. It's going to up my end of the year taxes. But the thing about it is that I like about this is I don't have to keep records down every minute I'm gone, inside the nation or outside the nation, or inside the nation, rather. I'll do the outside the nation. So I'm kind of wavering towards claiming it with the 700 because I know I'm going to lose money on it, but I don't have to keep records as much. That's what I do now. And I tell you what, it's a mess. I don't claim all my mileage inside the nation that I drive. There's probably 12,000 miles a year that I drive for my people inside my district, because when somebody calls me and wants me to look over a situation, I always go, and some of that I won't claim. And some of our community associations call you, and you show up for their weekly meetings and their annual meetings and their monthly meetings, or you go to the dinners. And I'll tell you what, I love to go to those dinners. But there's some of that I don't claim. And I want you to realize that this is a deal of destination. It's a destination from your home to wherever you're going. But if you have a destination for your home to Tahlequah, you go up north, if you go to Tusa, you can't claim that mileage now if it's past. So it's hell if it does and hell if it don't. All I But I believe it towards the budget. Thank you very much.
Any other comments, questions? This is an act, so roll call.
Janelle Fulbright.
Yes.
Don Garvin.
No.
Frankie Hargis.
Yes.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.
Yes.
Tana Glory Jordan.
Yes.
Lee Keener.
No.
Dick Lay.
Yes.
Curtis Snell.
Yes.
David Thornton.
No.
David Walkingstick.
Yes.
Karen Callan Watt.
No.
Bill England.
No.
Jack Baker.
No.
Julia Coates.
No.
Jody Fishinghawk.
Yes.
Meredith Bailey.
No.
We have 8 yes and 8 no.
8 yes, 8 no, motion fails. Okay, coming out of Executive and Finance Committee is item 16.
Madam
yes,
Speaker,
Mr. Baker.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to include 4 resolutions for the committee meeting this afternoon. is item 18, a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Administration for Children and Families. Item 19 is a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation Environmental Programs to submit a formal grant application to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency for an urban water small grant. Item 20 is a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation Environmental Programs Group to submit an application to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency for a Clean Water 106 project, which is a water pollution control program. And item 21 is a resolution authorizing a memorandum of agreement between the Cherokee Nation and the Tulsa District, United States Army Corps of Engineers. I make a motion that we amend the agenda to include these four items.
Second. Moved and second. Any discussion on amending the agenda? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And those will be item 18, 19, 20, and 21. Item 15 is an act authorizing Mod 4 to the FY 2012 budget. Mr. Baker.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. This budget mod has grants of $4,700,000, which includes from the Department of Health and Human Services $2,300,000, from HUD for the No Water and Collinsville Food Distribution Centers $857,000, Charter School New Award from the state of Oklahoma of $483,000, and Behavioral Health Sub-Grant of $285,000. Then it also is a increase in budget authority of over $3,200,000, which includes a $100,000 shift in funds from the to the Chief's office from the General Counsel's office. It also has an increase of $191,000 in the Tribal Election Fund. It has $3,107,000 from the motor fuels tax for public schools. And it also has an apportionment from the motor fuels tax for highways for $157,000. And I make this budget mod totals almost $8 million, and it increases our annual budget to over $483 million. And I make a motion that
Acclamation.
by acclamation, please.
Discussion. Ms. Calmont.
I won't be able to support this, not because there's not a lot of great things that are included in it and that we don't need to do most of it. However, I still strongly disagree with taking $100,000 from the Attorney General's office to fund the new General Counsel's position under the Chief. Not that the Chief shouldn't, I don't know if Chief Baker's still here, not that he shouldn't have General Counsel, but I find it very problematic on the details of the agreement and think that no matter how qualified an attorney, especially a non-Cherokee attorney, that we would have such an excessive amount being spent, especially even on the amended contract when it shows that in 2 weeks' time period we've already spent almost half of what the contract allocates, with over $60,000 being issued just even on 2 weeks. So I cannot support this. Thank you.
Any other? Yes, Mr. Keener.
I too am growing weary or tired of or uncomfortable with the moving around of the funds, so I will not be able to support this. But the new AG I will be able to support, and that's where I would rather see the money go to the Cherokee AG.
I'm going to agree that I think that we are facing some things where we need to keep our litigation budget intact, not have that going to pay additional non-Cherokee attorneys when we need to have people who are strongly understanding and arguing and supportive of of the causes that we're probably going to be facing in litigation in the coming months and years. Thank you.
Thank you. Station Hawk and then Ms. Calmont.
I would like it to go on record that this isn't the first time we've paid non-Cherokee Indian attorneys. Last administration paid quite a few of them in Washington, D.C., $850 an hour. So I'm glad you're giving yourself to us for $250, Caleb. Thank you.
Ms. Calmont.
Point of information. I'm sorry, I believe the amount is $350 an hour.
No, it's 250. The original
contract said 350. It's been amended to 250. But I have a motion. I have a motion to strike the transfer of the $100,000 from the Attorney General's office to the Chief's office for that contract.
Second.
So that's an amendment.
I have a motion to delete the funding for the, which office?
For the $100,000 transfer
$100,000.
from the AG's office to the Chief's office to cover the General Counsel
We have
contract.
a second. Now discussion. Mr. Hoskins.
Thank you, Ms. Speaker. I oppose the motion, support the funding transfer. You know, the issues whether the chief of the Cherokee Nation, the largest tribe in the United States, ought to have legal counsel. The independent Attorney General is the independent Attorney General. And I can't imagine an organization of this size with that kind of responsibility shouldn't get legal counsel. I think the Attorney General herself, Diane Hammond, said that she wishes former Chief Smith had legal counsel from time to time. Now, Chad Smith is an attorney himself. So I just think it's not unreasonable that we should expect the chief of the largest tribe in the United States to want legal counsel. And it's not an outrageous fee. And in fact, we ought to be careful about throwing around numbers if we don't have a firm handle on what those numbers are. I think it's a reasonable fee, and I think the chief of the Cherokee Nation needs this latitude. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Any other comments?
I would just like to point out one thing. As I recall, a couple years ago, we did some checking, and although the chief at that time was an attorney, he was seeking advice from an attorney out of California for personal help. I don't recall the exact amount that we paid. It was never even brought through, as I recall, through his budget. I believe at that time it was paid through the AG's budget. And I could stand corrected on that, but I do remember checking into that. So this is not unheard of that our chief would want his own legal counsel at times. And although prior to this date, the last chief elected not to ask this body for a budget mod, I commend Chief Baker for being out in the open and saying, folks, I need my own legal counsel. And in picking legal counsel, I'd like for everybody in the room to think about this. If you're being represented personally by an individual, don't you want to be able to pick that individual? That's a very personal decision to make. I have people coming to my office every day that I represent. That is very personal in nature to those people who they pick to provide their personal legal advice. And that's what we're doing here. We're allowing the chief of basically the biggest nation in existence right now, Indian nation in existence, to have his own legal counsel. He has nowhere else to go to rely on legal counsel unless he gets his own. I think the fees are very reasonable, and I would encourage everyone on this council to give him the latitude to do that. Thank you.
Any other comments? Ms. Gilmore?
Thank you. So a couple of things just to clarify for the citizens that are watching. So our council attorney, who's done a considerable amount of work for the Cherokee people and practically lives with us at times, his whole entire billing for the entire year is less than, or is almost about, it's like $85,000. Is that correct? Okay, so not even that much. So in 2 weeks' time period, this contract's already consumed almost what Todd Hembry would bill for the entire year. And we have actuals to show that at $150 an hour. And he's a good Cherokee citizen who's graciously served a number of a wide range of personalities and situations. So this was not bid out. There was no contractual bidding. There was no tarot compliance. There was no open, even consideration of possibly the numerous Cherokee lawyers I tend to be surrounded by in this role, and I think everybody else is. And that's where I have issue. not being an attorney, a general counsel, of course, I think that would be absolutely necessary. But I think it's the amount of money involved, the fact that no Cherokee citizens were given consideration, the fact that the contract has already been consumed in just a 2-week time period, a significant portion of it. That is all very problematic. And there has not been a light of day on the roles and the movement of money within the chief's budget. There's a lot of discussion. So I cannot support this as it stands today. I can support general counsel for the chief, absolutely, but not the amount, and that there was no consideration given for Cherokee citizens in this role. Thank you.
Other comments, questions? Okay, all in favor? Oh, Mr. Thornton?
I think the same thing has came up prior years with our other chief, and I think we got the argument in there how much we could give the chief to run his budget. But the main thing in the Constitution, Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, says that the chief has the opportunity to hire whoever he wants to hire, what money he wants to hire. You can take it any way you want to take it to run this nation. And I don't see why in the world we wouldn't support this chief for that opportunity. So I'm going to be voting yes. Thank you.
Commissioner Hawk?
Yes, I had the same questions that Councilor Watts did several years ago. And matter of fact, I issued a FOIA GRA to, at the time, Chad Smith's administration. And I will share with her the letter I got back from the former administration that said basically he's the chief. Melanie Knight said he's allowed to pick his own counsel. And because at the time I was asking because his counsel was not Cherokee. She wasn't any kind of Indian. But I do believe Kaylin Free is Taro certified. That's all.
I would appreciate the letter.
Any questions? Other questions or comments? All in favor of Ms. Cowanwatt's motion to transfer funds out of this budget, correct?
So strike that transfer.
To strike that transfer fund. All right. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Roll call. Yes, as you support the motion.
And the motion being that we would
Strike.
take that out of the budget mod.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Jack Baker,
Yes.
Julia Coates. Yes. Jody Fishinghawk,
No.
Meredith Fraley,
Yes.
Janelle Fulbright,
No.
Tom Garvin,
Yes.
Frankie Hargis,
No.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.,
No.
Tanya Cora Jordan,
No.
Lee Keener,
Yes.
Skip Blake,
Nope.
Curtis Snell,
No.
David Thornton,
No.
David Walkenstick,
No.
Karen Cowan Watt,
Yes.
Bill England.
Yes.
Seven yes and 9 no.
7 yes, 9 no. The motion fails. Okay, back to the original mod. All of those, let's do a roll call on that. Yes, as you approve of the act as presented by Mr. Baker.
Frankie Hargis,
Yes.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.,
Yes.
Tanya Cora Jordan,
Yes.
Lee Keener,
No.
Dick Blake,
Yes.
Curtis Snell,
Yes.
David Thornton,
Yes.
David Walkenstick,
Yes.
Karen Cowan Watt,
No.
Bill England,
No.
Jack Baker,
Yes.
Julia Coates,
No.
Jody Fishinghawk,
Yes.
Meredith Fraley,
Yes.
Janelle Fulbright,
Yes.
Don Garvin.
Yes.
Yes and 4 no.
12 yes, 4 no. Motion carries. Okay, item 17 is an act amending the capital budget for fiscal year 2012, Mod 1. Mr. Baker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This budget mod to the capital budget increases from the motor fuel tax fund, increases the roads fund by $1,800,000, and brings the total capital budget authority to $170 million. I make a motion that we approve that.
Second. Moved in second. Any discussion? You want this by acclamation?
By acclamation, please.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, now the newly added items. Item 18 is a resolution authorizing a grant application for an ANA SEDS grant. Ms. Cora Jordan.
Yes, this is a resolution to authorize application to apply for a grant for some training funds. It was presented to us out of CAUTA Community Services today, and I would put that in the form of a motion that we approve this.
I second. Moved in second. Discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 19 is a resolution authorizing a grant application to the EPA for an urban water small grant. Mr. Thornton?
This resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation environmental programs group to submit a formal grant application to the United States Environmental Protection Agency for any urban waters small grant. I would like to bring this motion forward and pass it. This water problems are being increased by the day. We're having problems with getting our water as far as being able to sell our water. We got Choctaw Nation down there south of us, and I know they're wanting to sell their water, but the fact say they don't own it, the state owns it. And we're going to be fighting these battles. People get ready, and it needs to be fought now. And we need to do everything we can to preserve the water. And in Sequoyah County, we've got several tributaries that come down into Sequoyah County, and we've been fighting these oil companies for the drilling rights and for them to come in and shove that water, contaminated water down in the ground. And we need to do something, and we need to do it fast. But our water rights have been upheld by the federal courts and on several occasions. And we need to go ahead and pass these kind of grants, and the state of Oklahoma would sure like to get their nose in it, and they're trying everything they can to get their nose in our water rights. And if we don't stand up and holler for them and shout for them right now, we're going to lose them, people. And, well, I better get off the soapbox, but
thank you for that long motion. Do you have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Yes, Ms. Campbell.
So specifically to this resolution, it's an EPA grant that will allow the local community here in Tahlequah on the Illinois River to interact not only with our research folks in gathering additional data, but community projects to do restoration. One of the important things under the U.S. Clean Water Act is that tribes as nation exert their tribal sovereignty, and in doing so, it's not just the passage of a water quality standards, for example, with respect to water, and then the enforcement of the water quality standards, but it's actually also the protection or preservation or restoration of those waterways. So this is an exciting opportunity for Tahlequah and for one of our scenic river, the Illinois River, and I'm excited that Councilman Thornton and a number of all the tribal councils signed on board today at committee, and that we have $2,500 to match out of our water plan or the Cherokee Nation Environmental Protection Commission budget for the grant. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes. Any other comments, questions? All in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, item 20 is a resolution authorizing a grant application for clean water 106 project. Ms. Callum Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is an additional EPA grant that came up as a last-minute opportunity. It's a one-year grant for $175,000 with a 5% in-kind match, which equates to $8,750 from either our tribal water plan budget or the Cherokee Nation Environmental Protection Commission budget. It would increase surface water monitoring and specifically the benthic macro invertebrate collections, which are animals with no backbone, which would be visible to the naked eye, such as aquatic insects. And this is really exciting to the nerdy people that work on water. So this is a good move on our behalf, as again an exercise of tribal sovereignty, and this is exciting stuff because those macroinvertebrates tell us a lot about the quality of our water, and they're probably things we've all collected or still eat maybe in some ways around the tribe. So I move for approval.
Do you have a second? Moved in second. Discussion? Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 21 is a resolution authorizing a memorandum of agreement with U.S. Corps of Engineers on the Mayo project. Mr. Thornton, do you want to read
Yes,
this?
this resolution between the Cherokee Nation and Tulsa District, United States Army Corps of Engineers. And this includes the provision of date for the review of the nation's fixed bed navigation study model. And we have a couple of people here sitting in the audience, and I'd like for them to get up and explain what a model is. Because this is a very strategic study, and the Corps comes in and they have to perform a model of what the work that's going to be done down at the Mayo Dam in Sequoia County. And it's outrageous. You know, I know that Cherokee Nation may not be able to furnish the labor to build this hydraulic system, but I want to tell you there's a lot of Cherokees live down there. And if anybody gets hired, I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of Cherokees hired down there to help build it. And when you spend, you know, as much money as they're going to spend down there building that just on labor, it's $450 million. I tell you what, I'm really high on this, and I can just see us losing dollars going down that river every time I go down there now, because I know we could be generating power of electric for the Cherokee Nation and feeding our people on it with $12 to $15 million a year, which is estimated for that power plant to generate. And I can't wait for this thing to start. But anyway, do you want to say something over here, Mrs. Carol? Huh? You know. Okay. If you have any questions on this model, I want you to ask questions on it, because from what I understand, it's going to be huge. Is it 100 foot or 100 yards? 125 feet. Right? Okay, and it's going to be a completely model of what they're going to do down there, and I can't wait to see it when they get through with it. And I move for its approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Lay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited about it too, David, but I've got a lot of questions, and that's why I voted no in committee. That's why I'm going to vote no tonight. There's nobody in this audience, including our legal department, that can tell me who's going to control what's going on here. Will we have Cherokee or Taro preference on the contracts to build it? They don't know. Will we have Cherokee preference of employees to run it? They don't know. Who's in control of it? Cherokee Nation, CMB, or Corps of Engineers? They don't know. And I'll just go ahead and answer that. The Corps of Engineers is going to be in charge of everything. And so if that's the way, you know, somebody's got to renegotiate our ownership of this so that we not only make a little money per year, but that our people get employed building it and running it. And until then, until somebody can show me that, I'm still going to vote no tomorrow, next year, and 4 years from now. That's all I got to say.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Chief Baker, I think Councilman Lay has some really good questions. So I don't know if it's within because the existing team is working hard on actually the technical aspects of the project. So I think those are really great questions. They probably have reasonable answers once they've had an opportunity to review, and at the next resources meeting, if they would provide us status updates on those legal questions surrounding TARO and control of the project and contracting and how we issue, that would be great. And even if it takes 2 or 3 months, I think that we need to know the current status and what the legal hurdles, if there are legal hurdles, for actually making changes to include our TARO preference from the tribe. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for your indulgence.
All in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Did everybody hear the motion? Vote. I didn't hear everyone.
I voted no.
Okay, 1 no. Okay, motion carries, I guess. All right, we're down to announcements. Do we have any announcements? Any announcements? Oh, Mr. Keener.
I was going to ask if I could call on Kimberly Gilliland to make an announcement. I'm going to make a shameless plug for the Cherokee Nation Foundation. And if there's any high school counselors watching this or any educators, I want you to call the Cherokee Nation Foundation. But Kimberly, you in the past week, you passed in your committee for the agreement with the Tulsa University. Did you want to announce that?
Kimberly, you want to come forward?
Over the last year, the foundation and its board has been actively pursuing relationships and commitments from large universities throughout the state of Oklahoma, as well as our surrounding states. We are currently in negotiation with a private institution in Tulsa. The agreement hasn't been signed, but we are very close, and we're looking forward to another $1 million endowment.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Mr. Baker.
Yes. I would like to commend the Oklahoma State Cowboys for winning the Fiesta Bowl.
District 5 will be hosting an town hall or election reform town hall on Thursday, February 23rd at the Will Rogers Memorial Theater from 6 to 8 p.m. It will be facilitated by my council members Buell Anglin, Lee Keener, and myself. And we just ask that the people that attend, especially if you're from out of district, please be respectful. And we hope to have it organized so we can actually get everyone's input within 2 hours. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hoskin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We've already referenced his election, but I wonder if Chief Byrd, who will be our newest colleague soon, would like to say anything.
Willie, there's enough said. Honored to be here tonight and see our government working full force and everybody having input, and Cherokee Nation is strong. Let's move forward. It's time to move forward, folks. Thank you very much.
Yes, I have something to say that pertains to football, and I'm very proud that we have an enrolled Cherokee citizen that plays for the Patriots. His name is Wes Welker. He has Sequoia County roots, and we're very proud of him. Thank you.
Any other announcements? And entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
In favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.